I just want to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode because since we're talking about insecurities, we do talk about food, we do talk about weight, we talk about skin, and we talk about illness. So if any of that is not going to be a good cup of tea for you to have today, skip on out and be your own best friend today and say, you know what? Next time. We'll talk with our rat next time. Right now, the rat is talking about things that are going to hurt us and we're not ready to hear or we're not ready to interact with, or we would have a better day not hearing this conversation. Just skip on out, my little rat. Go be in the sunshine. Don't drag into the sewer, okay? That was a really weird way of being like trigger warning for this episode. Hello, my rats. Welcome to Ratitude Check. Are you ready for Ratitude Check? Bit of a location switch up, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, it's Rosie's birthday today, and I was getting really bad mom guilt for like her not enjoying her birthday. So she's been following me around wanting to cuddle, and I'm like, I gotta film this podcast. So I was like, you know what? Let's just sit on the couch, and then Rosie can like snuggle beside me. That was her just exhaling satisfiedly. So now I don't feel like a guilty mom anymore. Okay. Rosie is 3, which is really crazy. But honestly, me lazing on the couch actually works for this chat today because I thought we could like chat beauty standards, acne, how hard it is to be anything in this world except for a middle-aged white man, let's just say. It's tricky. Okay? So that we could have like a little chat. I want a deep dive on like insecurities. I don't want to be depressing. I'm hoping this is actually like gonna pump you up. I would really like to do that for you today, okay? If you would let me, okay? But it might take us a while to get there. But let's have a good deep talk. I hate when these kind of talks are done with like toxic positivity. I'm a big let's not do toxic positivity person. I used to be a toxically positive person, and then guess what happened? 3, 2, 1. You already know. Because it's the pitfall of my life. Like it's the thing that's always gonna like be causing the chaos. Diabetes. You can't be toxically positive about diabetes. You just can't, okay? So that really like shifted my perspective on things because other than that, I was like a very positive person. That's a whole other episode. I liked being a positive person. I still am a positive person, but I used to be like super positive, even with the acne. So insecurities. Like I can remember, I think like the first time I was like aware of my body, I can actually remember it because I was like swimming with my sister and we were at like we were in Edmonton, Alberta visiting our grandparents, and there was like a splash pool of some sort. And I remember all of a sudden thinking it wasn't okay for me to be in a wet t-shirt. Like our parents just let us like run in because like everyone else was doing it and we didn't have swimsuits. But I remember it was like the first time having that kind of conscious thought of like, am I too old to have a wet t-shirt on? And I don't even know how old I was. I was quite young, like 7, 8, 9, 11. It couldn't have been 11. It would have been under 11. Something like this. Anyways, it was the first time where I felt weird about my body. Then I continued to feel weird about my body. I really didn't enjoy becoming a woman. I used to only wear my brother's clothing, and becoming a woman was tricky. It's tricky for everyone to navigate. I don't think anyone like navigates it flawlessly. It's like really hard to navigate. So there was that. So there was puberty. I wasn't like overly insecure because I, at that time, didn't care about my looks. Like that was kind of slay. That was great. You could call me a pick-me, but it was just genuine. I just didn't really like think about my face. Like, I started getting acne at 11, and that continued for a bit. That was, again, I didn't think too much of it, but I was like, why is this happening to me? But I wasn't like insecure yet, so like that was good. Why am I giving you my whole like teenage story? But I guess it all just like links to insecurities. It's funny how they like creep in, like how one day you can be someone who the acne, you're like, oh, whatever, but it's kind of like weird that I have this, but it doesn't like rock your confidence. And also going from an age where you like don't care about your looks, right? Like it's really interesting. I find that shit really interesting, by the way, because like if you dropped, and you would never do this, I don't recommend anyone ever do this. If you dropped a baby in a forest with some other babies, they probably wouldn't figure out that looks mattered. You know what I mean? Like that's something society kind of comes up with when they get bored, right? Like back in caveman days, like I'm pretty sure they just looked for partners who could like protect and procreate. Like that was like the baseline. So like there's some sort of anthropological, yes, you're looking for something physically in another human. I'm sure there's that there. Don't quote me on that. But like other than that, society came up with like, wear these colors, be this kind of feminine, be have small feet, have perfect skin, have ladylike nails, like all this other crap that actually like doesn't have anything to do with like procreating. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like society got bored. And what I mean by all this is like, yes, like humans, I think, like you look at birds now, they want to be attracted to their mate, like whoever's got the brightest feathers, like whatever. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about more so like when society just started creeping in with like the altering your brain to care about things that actually just like don't matter. Like they don't make you a better person. They don't make you like a better partner. They're things that just like society was like, let's make them insecure about aging. Why? Everybody ages. Why do we need to be insecure about that now? You know what I mean? Like if you think about that, why'd they creep that one in? Like why'd you do that? Like it's so interesting. Because aging doesn't have anything, like you find a partner in your 20s, 30s, 40s, rarely at 80, sometimes at 80, and that's great. But you know what I mean? Like aging is like this natural thing that society's like, let's make them feel weird about it. Let's make them feel weird about something that occurs naturally. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And it's about money. It's about money. They want your money. They want you to like freak out about this thing, right? And then they want you to pay money to like avoid this thing. This thing's inevitable. It's amazing that they've created this narrative. Like it amazes me daily. It really does. It amazes me that we could take something natural and be like, fight it. Like, you can't. Oh, fight it though. Like, you can't. But Botox, okay, I guess that kind of combats it, but it happens no matter what. You will not look like your 20-year-old self when you're 50. You just won't. We can talk about Botox and filler and stuff at the end, by the way. I do want to get into that. But yeah, aging is like one that bothers me. I'm jumping all over the place. I hope you guys are with me. It's like raining. It's horrible out. It's one of those days. Back to me and my insecurities, okay? So eventually, I think I was like 13 when I like slowly started caring about my looks. Like, you know, I was like, oh, okay. Like I kind of want to like rock up to school looking good now. I got into colored eyeliner really heavily. Lime green eyeliner. I would rock that daily, and I thought I looked cool, okay? No foundation, just green eyeliner and mascara, nothing else. Terrible. But I don't remember being insecure, so, like, that was good. Honestly, I started being insecure when my skin got bad. Like, it was, I was really someone who, like, didn't so much care about their looks, but also I want to preface this with saying, like, I was a late bloomer, and I think that has, like, a lot to do with it. Like, I was not interested in, like, finding partners for a very long time. So I think that really just, like, prolonged that need to, like, look good, or, like, that feeling of, like, yeah, I gotta look good. Because I was just, like, very much a late bloomer. We could talk about that in another episode. Like, we could do a relationship episode. Maybe you guys could write in, like, some relationship stories. I was a late freaking bloomer, okay? My first kiss was in grade 12, like end of high school, okay? And it wasn't because I wanted to kiss this individual. It was because it was a school play and I had to kiss this individual, okay? And that was my first kiss. This poor guy it was in the script, so it was done. Okay, that was it. All right? I was a late bloomer. But I did start to care when my acne started getting bad, because then I did start to feel yucky and different. But I don't remember being overly insecure. But again, it wasn't that bad in high school. It was like kind of like the regular amount when everyone kind of had the regular amount, and I had concealer, and it was okay. I remember my confidence getting obliterated by my acne when I went to England, and at 21 I finally got a taste of moderate to severe acne. That really rocked my world. Like, I would get in the shower and like just touching my face made me cry. Like, I remember crying so much in Essex, England. I was crying a lot because I would touch the bumps on my face and I felt so helpless and so hopeless. Like, and I was trying everything to get rid of them. And they were really like shattering my confidence, so much so that even like I was in a long distance relationship with Zach at the time, and I was like so embarrassed for him to see me. Like, we would FaceTime, I'd make sure my lights were off so like you couldn't really see my skin, and I tried to deal with it until like eventually, I remember like wearing a full face of makeup on the plane home at Christmas time because I just didn't want him to see me. I started getting really insecure. It was really bad. Yeah, it was really bad, and it was like really severe acne, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. It was really frustrating, as it is. Like, it is a frustrating experience. And then I came home, and the acne did not go away, so I started getting regular facials, and this is when I just started dumping my money into my acne because it was like ruining my life. Like, so every dollar I could save, I'd like go get these facials, and it did start to help like a little bit, but I just couldn't find the source of like why I broke out so badly. But I was still eating gluten, and I had celiac disease, and I just didn't know it. So when I was in England, I was like eating gluten all the time, like all the time. And so obviously my body was like very unhappy, which led to like the severe acne because like high amounts of inflammation and toxins in your body, and my body wasn't absorbing nutrients properly, and blah 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 blah. Sob story of celiac disease. It's a shit disease. It's very hard to diagnose. Wish I had gotten diagnosed sooner, because I think that's what led to the diabetes. Allegedly, we don't really know, but it very well could be because I was eating a lot of gluten and it was like slowly killing me. And I just didn't know. That's the story for most celiacs. Anyways, so I get home. Eventually I cut the gluten. I'm getting these facials. Things get like a little bit better. But then guess what's next? Diabetes. So like when my body started getting sick, and again, I don't really understand this process of type 1, but my body got sick, and I broke out really bad, like 2019, 2020, back to that severe acne. And then I got diagnosed, and I got on insulin, and then it started getting like a little bit better, and now we're here today. And I've learned a lot about skincare along the way. That was also very helpful. I still break out. I don't know why. I think it's just because even you see all these like holistic people, they're like, your insulin levels like are why most people insulin resistance, blah blah. I'm like, I'm type 1. Of course, like my insulin levels suck ass. Like, so that might be why I still break out. But now I'm on tretinoin, and I'm really excited about the tretinoin journey. I think it's going well, but I want to do a skincare episode, but I want to have a skincare specialist on. I was thinking maybe my friend Jackie, who helped me with my skin for my wedding. She's really nice. So I got to ask her and have her over one day to officially give you guys acne tips from an actual professional. Cause like I can do it, but they would be like my tips from my lived in experience. And that is very different than professional tips. Okay. It's not like they're bad. It's just, that's a thing, right? There's a difference. So anyways, through these years, from the age 21 to the age 26, I am severely anxious and insecure. And eventually in 2019, when it came back, I'd kind of gotten it better and it came back, that's when I started getting also depressed. And I'm going to add like a little trigger warning because I'm going to talk about food for a minute. So if food conversations are going to be tricky for you, just skip ahead like 5 minutes and, be kind to yourself, know what you need today. And if you don't want to hear a conversation about struggling with food, skip ahead here. I started to struggle with food. It was not in the sense of like my weight. It was, I started thinking everything I ate could be the enemy. Like maybe that's why I'm breaking out, because I didn't understand why I was breaking out. And you see all these holistic videos like drink this spearmint tea, cut sugar, cut gluten, cut all these things. And so I was like cutting things out of my diet, keeping a food journal, starting to really obsess over food. I think you would call it orthorexia. I think that's the word for it, where it's like you have an obsession with like healthy food. I don't really know, like I never went and got diagnosed. I never saw a therapist. It's something that just was like slowly happening because of my acne. And I didn't actually think I could get like an eating disorder based on acne, right? Because I was still eating, but it was a really bad time. And like two extremes of like, I remember like several occasions where like I had to leave like a social function because I thought I had ate something that would give me acne. And I went and would like have these sobbing like panic attacks in my car. Like it's not it wasn't normal, but I didn't really know at the time like what was going on. Again, I didn't know I could be like having an issue with food when I wasn't concerned about like my size. I didn't know that it could still happen in different ways. And I know it now because looking back, I'm like, wow, that was like a really unhealthy relationship that I had developed with food. And it was like really impacting my life, especially my social life. Just, yeah, just, it was just a bad time. It was a really bad time. But like, that's how insecure I was. Like, that's how scared I was that something was going to give me acne. Okay. So it was like really just like it's sad to think about. Like if there was milk, I remember every time I got a coffee, I would taste it and then I would freak out, and then I would have Zach or my sister taste it and be like, is that milk or is that almond milk? Because I thought if I had a sip of dairy, the acne would come back. So again, like just real anxiety with food. But again, I was never like actually diagnosed. This is all in my reflection of like that time in my life. Like it was just a very like, food gave me anxiety. Food gave me really bad anxiety. And I remember this vividly because I was like food journaling and really obsessing about food, not eating certain things. I remember my mom made a dinner once and I started crying at the table. I don't even know if she's going to remember that. But she got upset because she had worked really hard on that meal, and I took a couple bites, and then that narrative again told me like, this is going to give you acne, so I didn't eat it. And I didn't eat that night, and I was like crying. It was bad. Acne's really hard. Like I could do a separate episode on acne. It's really hard, and most people that I've talked to who have had acne like very much understand. And if you haven't had acne, it might sound extreme, and I understand that. Like it might sound extreme, but acne's really hard. And I've had it since like 15. It started a little bit at 11, 15, and bad since 21. And I'm 29 and I still have like, the scars and everything like that. So it just, yeah. So that was just one of the issues I got with the acne. And then obviously insecurities, didn't want people looking at me, thought I wouldn't get my dream job because my skin wasn't good enough, all this stuff, like very insecure. Which leads me to wanting to have this conversation because all of that is very natural, and all of that like was someone who I like to think I'm a very self-aware person, but I couldn't catch that. And I didn't catch that. Maybe I'm a self-aware person now. I just wasn't self-aware enough then to know like, ooh, something's wrong. But I did eventually like dig myself out of that hole, but it was like the diabetes that did it, because honestly, like it came crashing into my life, and I was like, I didn't have time to worry about if there was like dairy in my coffee. I didn't have time to worry about anything else. And I actually stopped like my skincare routines because I was like dealing with like a lot of other shit, and I just like couldn't find the energy to care about my acne. So that was like kind of a blessing, a really weird, sick and twisted blessing. But my diabetes did shift my perspective on insecurities. And I kind of like feel like when you get sick or when you have a disease or you have chronic illness and you get to understand that like perspective on health, you start to actually appreciate the human body. And it's something that I don't think like healthy people can necessarily do or understand. And if you can, that's awesome. But from my experience, people don't get it, like what a miracle their body is. I didn't understand what a miracle my body was until my body stopped being that miracle, and I miss that miracle. It's a genuine miracle. And so then when you lose that, you stop thinking that this body has to look a certain way, and you start realizing like the actual truth, which we all know on paper, but I don't know that we all know in our like souls and in our cores, but your body doesn't need to look good. It just needs to work well. So, like, I don't know if this can be inspirational to you, but let that sink in. It really is, and this is like simplifying, but it's something that worked for me because it had to, but it's like, it is a skin sac. It really doesn't matter what your skin sac looks like. When your skin sac functions well, life is very good. Okay? That is true wealth. And anyone whose skin sac is a little more troublesome, they will tell you that. And one of my favorite quotes that has stuck with me like on this like journey of diabetes is, health is a crown the wealthy wear, but only the sick can see. I think I like messed up a couple words in there, but do you see what I mean? It's like, I can see the crown on the healthy people around me. And I'm really happy they have that crown. I really am. But it was something, it was really like, oh, it's triggering tears. Like, oh my God, why is everything depressing with me? I really need to go to therapy, guys. But I remember, oh, I am going to cry. Why the frig? I hate crying on the internet. I do think it's lame, but I do think, whatever, it's real. Whatever, I'm not forcing myself to do this. I don't know why I get triggered sometimes by tears. But I remember early in the diagnosis, I could really see that crown. I could see it on Zach. I could see it on my sister. I could see it on her husband. I could see it on my friends. And I was very happy they had that crown. It wasn't like an envious, like, rah. It was just this realization of like, I don't have that anymore. And I could really see their like innocence when they were like eating a meal. And I remember the first time, like, we didn't know how to like navigate my diabetes yet. And everyone was eating. Let me just breathe so I don't start actually crying here. But I remember I had to go to my room like to fully like sob my eyes out because I was learning a new relationship with food and eating and my body and what my body could do. And it was really tricky to watch people who could just be, who could just exist. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful to watch them. But I was watching someone with things I didn't have anymore. And at first that was really hard. I've now gotten very used to it and you find your new normal. I need to do a diabetes episode, but I'm like, this is why I'm scared to do it because I think I would like cry the whole time. But I just want you guys to know how beautiful your bodies actually are. Like, I want that to sink in. It's given me such great perspective on insecurities. Because your body is a miracle. And I don't know if that will help with like your own insecurities, because I know insecurities are really tough. But simplifying it right back to, it's kind of like body neutrality. I don't know if you guys have heard that term, but it's like a really neat, instead of body positivity or like, you know, like toxic positivity, like sometimes that doesn't work for everyone to just be like, I'm a queen no matter what. I love that. I wish I could do that. That's a harder one. Body neutrality can be easier because it's just simpler. It's just like, I'm enough. I'm able to do what I love. This skin sack doesn't need to be anything incredible because it's functioning, and that's really cool. That's my loose definition of body neutrality. That's not to say you can't be insecure. That's not to say I'm not still insecure. My acne does still bother me. But this was something that shook me out of like that really toxic space of being insecure where like my insecurities were stopping my life. It reminds me of like the episode we had with Rachel. Like she was like describing like when to see a therapist, you know, and it was like when your anxiety is like preventing you from enjoying your life essentially, or doing things that you need to do. And I think insecurity can be looked at like the same way. Like it is a problem when it's stopping your social life. It is a problem when it's stopping you from doing things that you need to do, or good things for you, or happy things, if it's ruining happy moments. Like my acne ruined a lot of happy moments actually. Like my poor parents. They tried to like surprise me with my birthday. How old was I turning? I think like my 26th birthday. And it was like COVID, and they were super excited because like they could take me to this winery and we could sit outside and like, oh good, we can like actually do something. And they were like going to surprise me, and they were like driving there, and they were like you'll see, you know, and they're all excited because they're about to surprise me. I was having like a sobbing panic attack near tears in the back because I was like, you need to tell me where we're going. You need to tell me where we're going, because I didn't have makeup on. And I was like really scared that other people were going to be there, that like Zach was going to be there or something, because it was like my birthday. I knew it was my birthday. Like knew they were doing this for my birthday. I was super scared they'd invited other people and I didn't have makeup on and I didn't like how I looked. And unfortunately, it was really sad because everyone like really felt for me because I was like panicking. And my dad had acne when he was young, and he literally was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to drop Mom and Lauren off, and they're going to go save the table at this winery. Dad was like, I'm going to take you back home. You can do a full face of makeup, and then we can all really enjoy this experience. Like they were trying to really like help me to to be able to enjoy like my birthday. That wasn't my dad saying you need makeup. It was just him being like, we're not going to force you to sit at this table without makeup if that's going to make you uncomfortable. So then I'm like, well, is anyone else there? Like, and they're like, no, don't worry. Let's just take you home. Just put on what you need to put on so you can enjoy this. And they end up taking me, we end up doing that, and Dad takes me home, and then I come out, and I ended up just washing my face because I looked at myself in the mirror and I gathered myself, and I was like, you need to make a change. Like there were signs where it's like, you need to make a change. This is ruining your life. Like this, you're letting this ruin your life, and it doesn't need to. So I just washed my face, and I went out with no makeup, and I sat at that table for my birthday with no makeup. We had some wine. And those are like the little things that I started doing to like fight through insecurity. And it's something like you do have to work on, like when it does start stopping your life. But it would have also been okay for me to put makeup on and just go enjoy that experience and make a mental note like, wow, okay, this is maybe getting out of hand. But, if you're out there listening and you're like, ooh, this is sounding close to home, then and you've got this, and you can dig yourself out. And I just invite you to find ways to dig yourself out. Like for me, it's always going to be fuck you. Like that is forever my way out of things. So it was like a fuck you to myself. Like, fuck you. Sorry for cursing so much, but I'm going to because this is important. But it was like, F you for caring this much. I'm going to show you. And I'm like, I'm looking in the mirror to myself, right? It's like one of these moments where you got to look yourself in the eye. And I was like, F you. This is dumb. We are more than this. We know we're more than this. F you. I'm going to go do this without makeup on. That's how I got there. But again, I could have put the makeup on and made a mental note. But again, just the way I fight things is always in that F you. No. Don't you tell me. And it's often to myself. I am often getting in my own way. I think a lot of people do. I think that's like a lot of people's problems. Like we're getting in our own ways. I always get in my own way. And I have to go, no, not today. No, you're not allowed to get in my way today like this. This is silly. Look, the feelings are valid, but we gotta stop, whatever it is. So I don't know if like doing an FU, like for me, it's liberating. It's empowering. I find power in it. And I find insecurity is a place of like lacking power. So I really resonate with like the embracing something, the power of doing the hard thing, showing yourself that you can. I like that because when you do it, like when I went and had that lunch, I was really proud of myself. Pride, like these good emotions I could get from like fighting it in this way are what helped me dig out of the hole. If it doesn't lead to good emotions, then that might not be the way out of insecurity for you. And that's okay. Like everyone's going to have their own ways out, right? But yeah, the FU, the you know what? Oh, I'm scared of this. Oh, I'm scared of this. Watch me, like do the opposite. Watch me do the scary thing. For me, that's super effective. I do that with my diabetes. I've done it with everything. Like it's like, yeah, I got diagnosed and I was like, oh, you want me to like fall apart and cry? No, I'm going to take a stand-up comedy class and I'm going to write a comedy set on what it's like to have diabetes. And I literally did that. It's just these like little challenges I'll give myself because it just at least brings positive emotion. It kind of forces strength, and strength is what you need right now. It really is. So you got to find things that are going to give you strength. For some people, that can be following someone who talks about maybe a similar insecurity. Like you could follow an influencer who embraces their body completely or embraces their skin completely. Sometimes that works for people. For me, I have to challenge myself. That's what works for me. Some people, quotes. I've said this before. I like a quote, okay? Doesn't work for me for insecurities, weirdly. Works for me for mental health. Works for me for mental health. Because I have a brain that like has like a just constant stream of like kind of toxic words and fears that it likes to like feed me. So that's when quotes really help me combat that because I'm like putting positive words in. Whereas my insecurities, it's more of like a depression that I was in. So finding strength is how I found my way out. All I'm saying is everything's valid. Your insecurities are valid. And maybe we should get to this now. Like, we need to talk about how valid it is because it is everywhere. They are planting it everywhere. Every single messaging, everything you turn on, everything you encounter is probably feeding some sort of beauty standard, which sucks. It is impossible to avoid. It started in the 50s with like magazines. And I remember learning this in Feminism 101 at university. Like, they learned that the young girls were like the best target audience because they could hurt them. Yuck. Okay? They were out there empowering boys and they were like, let's feed a toxic narrative to girls. Like, if you're not tiny enough, you're not going to be a good wife. Like, if you can't cook these cookies, but don't eat them, Barb. Like, you're bad. Like, I'm making these up. These are not direct quotes, obviously, but this is the kind of shit they started feeding us at young ages. And subliminal messaging, and like literally in movies. Like, oh my God, I was watching Sydney White the other day because I was like, that was such a fun movie. I loved that movie growing up. That is one of the most toxic, fat-phobic movies. And they were like joking about it. Like, Sydney was the cool girl because she ate breakfast. Sydney was oh God, like, it was just a miss, okay? Like, it just kind of was a miss. Great movie. But like, we're watching this at impressionable ages, okay? That movie came out in 2007, okay? The magnifying scene where she looks at the pores and she makes fun of that girl's pores. Now, again, yeah, that lady was the witch and she was evil. But our protagonist was a stunning Amanda Bynes. An absolutely stunning Amanda Bynes. So it didn't really fight the opposite narrative that you're cool no matter what, because she was stunning. She just had brown hair instead of blonde hair. Like, oh my God. Like, it was bad. They tried. They thought they ate with that one. Okay, like, I don't want no slander here. Amanda Bynes, though, just happens to be an incredibly stunning human. And then the movie joked about how she was a misfit. It just didn't hit the mark, but it was trying to. But it's funny because even a movie that was like trying to be the odd one out, it's okay, failed. Okay, so we've just been fed a bunch of crap even when they were trying to feed us good crap. Okay. But yeah, it's hard to go back and watch things. Like, the amount of messaging for women to be on diets, so scary. But I remember, so I'm going to get into food and size here. I didn't know body checking was a thing until TikTok. But I body checked every morning of high school. The first thing I would do when I got up was lift my shirt, stand sideways in the mirror, and make sure I was still skinny. That is so scary to me. Like, that's so scary to me looking back. Okay? And I didn't even know that was a thing, if that makes sense. But I remember the night before prom, I asked my dad, how much do you think I have to run to lose 1 more pound? I was a freaking... We all know our high school bodies were perfect, but at the time, like, we just didn't know how to appreciate them. And my dad was like, I don't know, like, why kind of thing. And I was like, I'm just going to go run 12 times around this 2-kilometer lap. Like, and I don't think I even managed to run that much, but I went out and ran as much as I could the night before prom or 2 nights before prom. Good Lord. And this is a girl who grew up in a family that had very healthy conversations about food. I've heard some very scary stories about households who were not having healthy conversations about food. I had friends in high school who I didn't understand their lunches when we would sit down. I had friends who had counted out almonds in Ziploc bags from mom or dad or whatever was going on there. I came from a very healthy home, but somehow this messaging, it still got to me, right? Like, because it was in movies, it was in magazines, it was in TV shows, it was visually everywhere. They were only celebrating, like very. Now, a lot of this was like what was it called? Heroin chic of like the 2000s. Like, that was such a toxic time. Like, I don't know any one of my generation who grew up at a young impressionable age watching that chic like time, like chic quotation marks. I don't know if any of us got out without a little bit of trouble. But the point is it's everywhere. And like, think about it now, it's worse. Like, if I managed in my little scrappy-doo shitty outfits to realize that I should be a certain size, and I didn't even really tend to own a lot of magazines. I just watched TV, and would have been shows my mom was checking and making sure were like appropriate for young children. Like, imagine all those steps and still it got to me. And then imagine today, when the literal thing we hold in our hands like a freaking claw all the time, our phones, they're feeding this probably 24/7 to us. Which is why it's very important to follow the right people, and it's very important to unfollow the wrong people. Like, if someone is making you feel bad about yourself, you gotta let them go. You gotta mute that page. You gotta unfollow, okay? If you're really struggling right now, you need to either get off social media more. We've talked about this. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world. Or you need to like infiltrate your For You page, your main grid, your main feed with very healthy accounts for you to follow, okay? And I'm not an expert. I'm really not an expert, okay? It's just so scary how society can twist our perceptions of ourselves by just showing and subliminally showing a bunch of crap. So all this to say, your insecurities are valid. Like, you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. This shit's everywhere. So how do we fight it? Neutrality, just simplifying things. Now when I feel the need to analyze my body in the mirror, I like to say this sentence, and again, it's not going to work for everyone, and like, I hesitate to talk about these things. I am in quite a privileged body if you don't look at all the autoimmune diseases and the acne, right? As a white woman, I don't know that I'm the perfect person to talk about this. I think more important people are talking about this. For the rats, I did want to have an episode on this, But yeah, when I look in the mirror now, like, and I feel the need to analyze, I like to say the sentence, what more could you want? And that just goes back to that body neutrality. Like, this body is functioning for me. She's doing her job. She lets me go to pottery. She lets me walk my dog. She lets me enjoy Christmas dinner with my family. She lets me go to the movies. She lets me try reformer Pilates. What more do you want? And again, it's that FU energy. Like, what more do you want? What more do you want? She's doing enough. It's doing enough. And like, again, that works for me. That's not going to work for everyone. This episode is probably not going to necessarily work for everyone. I'm getting nervous already about posting it because I don't always think that I'm the right person to like have these conversations. But then again, I think it's just something like, as I get closer to 30, I'm like, I do want to talk about this because I feel like I have some of the secrets thanks to like a pancreas dying and my eyes having ocular rosacea and acne and all this shit, and just knowing, wow, like the acne really didn't matter. Those were technically the best years of my life because my body didn't have a dead organ, right? And I treated those like they were the worst years of my life because I had acne. Crazy, right? Imagine I could get that body back despite the severe acne, right? Like, that was an amazing body. It was an amazing body. And at the time I thought, this is the worst. This is the worst. I can't do anything. I'll never blah, 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 blah. Do you understand? That's why I'm sharing my 2 cents on insecurities. I don't want to come across as like some... Another thing that happened with the diabetes that was interesting, again, talking about size and weight, I went up 4 sizes. I was like a size 10 when my body was like recovering and learning about like accepting like the new medicine and stuff. And some of the medicines I was on was like making me gain weight. Insulin in general can make you gain weight. Cool. I gained weight and I noticed the changes in my bodies and my jeans didn't fit anymore and I had to get new pants and I had to get new clothes and I didn't freak out because all I could see when I looked in the mirror was a body that was working again, and it was really exciting. So again, that like body neutrality, that like I feel like I've been given a bit of the secret. And that's why I wanted to like finally talk about this. I've always been hesitant though because like again, like I'm a white woman who grew up for most of my life in a body that did fit societal standards. So I always felt this is not my place. This is not my place to talk about this. And it really wasn't. It really wasn't, even though everyone does have insecurities. Like I remember being like, sometimes like a friend would be, gives you the old like, well, shut up. Like, how can you talk? You're this, right? And you're like, ouch, how come I'm not allowed to have insecurities? Blah, blah, blah. That's a whole weird like fight that occurs because at the end of the day, society screwed everyone. Like they screwed and effed up everyone. So like there's no winners, there's no losers. But yes, there are people who are closer to the beauty standard box than others. And I think it's not always someone's place to like complain or share when there's more important voices. I think just now as someone in a body that is like a legal disability in Canada, I feel like I've again been given like a bit of like a secret because it's just helped me with my insecurities. So I appreciate you letting me begin a bit of a journey of like expressing a discussion about insecurities. I never want to navigate it wrongly. I do want to share this secret that I feel like I've found. And I found it in a really horrible, hideous way, right? Like a getting sick. And I just feel like now it is kind of like something I should share. There's a lot like I kind of want to share and I get scared about it and I get imposter syndrome because I always think there's someone better to do these jobs. And there definitely are. There definitely are people who are better suited for this. But at the same time, we have our little rat community here. And I think we all hopefully trust each other to like know that everyone's hearts are in a good place because we're rats, So I feel a little more comfortable with you guys in that sense. But I hope to learn as well and do better at this. And I do feel like I'm rambling, and this hasn't been like a perfect PowerPoint presentation of insecurities. And there's so much further I want to go. And I know when I end this podcast, I'm not even close to done talking about this. And I know when I end, I'm gonna be like, oh, why did I say it like that? Why didn't I say it like this? I just feel very passionately about insecurities because I love women. I love my friends. I consume enough content to see that everyone is riddled with insecurities, and that cannot be right. That cannot be right. That cannot be the norm. I'm so scared by that fact. Like I'm so scared by that fact, And I look at like my own self and I like, that quote from One Day, Emma Morley, the character's name is Emma Morley. She says, like, I was quite pretty in my 20s, though I didn't realize it at the time. Again, loose quote. And it's like, that's me. Like I'm almost 30 and I'm looking back at my 20s, and for the whole thing, I'm going to cry. Like it's like for the whole thing, I didn't think I was beautiful. That's sad. That's a yikes. That's a waste. So I do want to start talking about this. I don't want you guys to waste any more time. I don't want to waste any more time. I thought I was out of it, and then when I like had to get married, it like all like blew up again. Oh my God, did it ever. But I was getting somewhere. Like again, I was doing that FU thing. I quit filters. I found like a lot of power in my skin. I fully effing embraced it. I did photo shoots with just eye makeup, and the acne was so aggravated on my cheeks. Like I was getting somewhere. And then this life event that is essentially a huge beauty standard toxic bombshell, bride, good God, is that a toxic beauty standard loaded title to carry. And I don't know that anyone gets out of bride, quotations on that, without some toxic little thoughts. And I admire the people that do. I admire the people that do. I don't think there's many, I'm going to be honest. Like, that one is such a little, if it's a bush of berries, it's ripe for the picking. Like, it's like you could find a million insecurities when you're a bride. Stuff you thought you got over. Stuff you thought, like, I thought I was comfortable with my skin. No, you weren't, bitch. Because guess what? Now you have to walk down an aisle and everyone is supposed to be the most beautiful you've ever been. And you have acne. Like, what are you doing? And then I learned about this toxic narrative that I didn't even know I had planted in my head. That's what scares me and blows my mind so much. I had this toxic little thing that I wouldn't have acne on my wedding day. That for some miracle, the acne would stop by the time I was getting married. Well, it didn't. It was a battle right up till the end. It did not stop. And I had this narrative of like, brides can't have acne. Brides can't have acne. What do you mean? Where do you think it goes? Where do you think it goes? And they're still beautiful, and they're still valid, and they're still wonderful, but I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, what the F? This is someone who thought they were like working on this one insecurity, and it refreshed, and it punched me in the face yet again. It's so hard not to quote the America Ferrera monologue because, quite frankly, like, it didn't blow my mind because I've been thinking it my whole life, but my God, is it hard to be a woman? My God, it's so hard. Again, it's hard to be anything that's not like a middle-aged white man, okay? Women, one of the harder categories, okay? Not even the hardest category, though, okay? It just scares me so much. It scares me so much when I see a celebrity come online with a filter. It scares me so much. You are in magazines for being the most beautiful human on earth, and you are wearing a filter. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Young women getting baby Botox. I'm so scared. It's not that it's wrong. I get it. The narrative is being fed to you. It's normalized. Like, I don't want to pass judgment on it, and I'm not. I'm just scared. I'm just scared for what that means. I'm just scared that, like, I can look at you and think you're the most beautiful, fresh, healthy little thing I've ever seen. You're 22, and you think it's gonna be, you can prevent, like, I'm scared. It's such a big conversation. I think more and more people are starting to have this conversation because we need to. I've not gotten anything done in terms of Botox or fillers. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I haven't been, like, tempted. I haven't Googled it. You know? Something in me always stops me from, like, ever, like, seriously considering it. But it's out there. It's available. I could go get lip filler. I could maybe feel more beautiful. Tempting when we live in a society where all we care about is beauty. Super tempting. Hey, go do this, and in 24 hours you can be quote unquote beautiful. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. You can go do that now. I'm more so just like, I said this to someone the other day. Like, I remember reading a sci-fi book when I was in grade 9 called The Uglies. I don't know, remember The Pretties, The Uglies? So it was like this sci-fi book where, like, when you turn 16, you finally get to get your pretty surgery. And you get to look like everyone else. And you would get this plastic surgery. And you wouldn't be quote unquote ugly anymore. And this girl gets, like, stolen or something before she can get her pretty surgery. Again, this book I read when I was in grade 9. I remember thinking, this is, like, so crazy. What the hell? Like, what kind of book is this where you get, like, plastic surgery when you turn 16 to be beautiful, and then you get to be beautiful, but until then you're ugly? Like, what am I reading? Like, I remember being like, I don't know if I resonate with this. She gets stolen. She gets taken away to this, like, underground place where they, like, are all quote unquote uglies. Like, this is a crazy, like, sci-fi book, okay? Not them predicting the future. Not them realizing what was coming. I had no idea in grade 9 that, like, yeah, this was going to get really normalized. Now, of course, it was still sci-fi. It was still extreme. But the idea of like the normalization of plastic surgery, of fillers, of Botox, like that's what that book was kind of expressing. And then in the book, like when she goes underground with the uglies or whatever happens, she realizes how handsome this boy is, that when she first sees him, she's like, ew, he's ugly. His nose is too big. His skin isn't perfect, whatever it was. I remember something about the nose. Then later she falls in love with him. And his nose is actually interesting, because that's true. Because that's true. And the plastic surgery, the pretties, all looked the same. Like, that's so scary. Because we're all striving, right now, we're all striving to look essentially the same. Which is pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Again, I'm not passing judgment on it. It's hard out there. And also, I'm not going to stop someone from fixing an insecurity. You got to do in this life what you got to do, okay? Life is too short. Life's too short, okay? Just make sure you're doing things for the right reason. Make sure it really is for you. Make sure, I think it's maybe like the only judgment I'll put on it now is how casual it is in conversation. Like, I have had people say to my face, you should get lip filler, when I've maybe said like a comment of like, oh, you have such beautiful lips, like I wish I did. Well, you should just get lip filler. And it's said so casually. That's not me judging those people, because again, it's normalized. All I want to judge is like how normalized it is. It's not that it's wrong. It's not that it's like should be taboo, should be stopped. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just like, ooh, crazy how quickly we're fed this now, right? Back in the day, it used to be like a big decision. It used to be a big decision to like go get something done. Now it's like, well, just go get something done. And like, cool, slay, go get something done if you're like very upset. Totally. I go get microneedling on these acne scars. I'm not above like, oh, like I'm a granola bar and I will never do like, no. Do not misunderstand me. I think it just is fair to be a little afraid of like where we're going. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm philosophizing with you guys now, and I am not a philosophizer, as you can tell. I'm like a dumb rat. I'm questioning. Are we all doing this? Like, am I alone in this? And then some days I'm like, who cares? Maybe I should go get lip filler. I could feel more confident in a second. I could feel more beautiful. I could literally go pay, $400? And tomorrow feel more confident. Super tempting, right? No one can deny that that's super tempting. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's totally allowed. It'd be completely fine. I could go do that. We could all go, aside from it's a financial expense, obviously. You could go do that. What stops me from going to do it is when I think about, like, I'll often think, like, what if my sister told me this? What if my sister said, I don't like my lips, I'm going to go get lip filler? I'd be sad. I'd be like, oh, like, she doesn't like her lips? Like, I love her face. I love her face. It's not a perfect face. Nobody has a perfect face. That kind of stops me, because then I'm like, if I think of myself as my best friend, I do get like a little sad to think that I would want to change my best friend. And so I get a little like more questiony about it all. And I do worry personally about like the effect it would maybe have on me, like dysmorphia wise, like body dysmorphia wise. I don't know. I've never gone and done it. Maybe I'm being too serious about it, I just think we do need to still have these conversations, and we do still need to ask these questions, because it's that beautiful quote that's like viral on TikTok, but like your face is a collection of features that have throughout time consistently found love. Someone has fallen in love with your nose for generations. Someone's fallen in love with your teeth, or been able to love past whatever you think is like wrong for generations. I watch TV sometimes and I miss real humans. Like, where are the people that look like my friends, like my people, like the people I find around me? When we turn on TV, sometimes it's just like not a representation of like what we see out our front door. And it makes us think like, should I be that perfect? It's really hard to be that perfect. It costs money to be that perfect. And I don't know. I don't know. This episode is such a rambling. I don't even know if it's postable. I'm going to have to edit this and look through it. I just want to say that I care. I really care that people aren't feeling beautiful. I really care. I don't know how else to put that. I care that I need you to know that your body is a miracle and it doesn't need to be something it's not. It doesn't. If it is working, if it is letting you do the things you love, it is everything. It really is. I care to question plastic surgery. I care to question Botox and fillers. I don't want to judge them. I just care to question them, to think hard on them. What are we doing? My friend Nick actually said something amazing to me once because I was talking about lip filler and like how, like maybe it would just be easier if I had lip filler, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I don't know that you would look prettier. You would just look different. And I thought that was so beautiful because it's like, what is prettier? Like the beauty standard tells us one thing, but is it true? I would look different. That might be refreshing. It might address something that I focused on before and then I don't have to focus on it anymore. I'm not saying like it makes you uglier. I'm not saying it's like, again, I'm not passing judgment on it like whatsoever. Like I get it. I really, really do. I just thought that was like an interesting question. Like, does it make you prettier? Or does it make you different? And does it address something in a way you need it to address? And that's okay. Yes, if I got lip filler, I would probably fit the beauty standard better today. So I could do that and I could try to get myself in that box. But I've said this before and I'll say it a million times. That box is like this big. Like it's the size of a pea on your plate, okay? A crunch of corn is how big that box is. We can't fit in there. But society's going to tell us again and again and again, you need to fit in there. Look at it. We can't fit. We don't fit. We're never going to fit. When does it end? When do we say, fuck this box? When do we say that? I think we're coming close. We got to say, fuck this box. We don't fit in it. We can't ever fit in it. It's in their best interest that you continue to strive to fit in this fucking thing. What about the beauty your friend carries? I bet you think your friend is so beautiful. I think all my friends are so beautiful. They don't fit in the box. This box is so toxic. We'll never fit in it. Now you need so much money to even come close to fitting in it. It's crazy. They also now want you to somehow find a time machine to fit in this box because apparently you can't age anymore. I'm telling you, this box is impossible. We gotta let go of it. We have to. We're never going to fit in it. Why should we fit in it? Who made it? Probably some yucky fucking people who just want your money. Let's just question it, rats. Let's just promise to question it. Never accept it. Never accept it. Ever. Just question. I say question it. Because, yeah, we can't dismiss it. I'm not so granola bar that I'm like, forget about, like, I get it. It's hard. Acne for me is still hard because it does not fit in that fucking little box that society says everyone's got to fit into. I hate that I can't control this thing to help me feel like I fit in that box like a little bit more. But what's helpful is to question that box. Who the F made that box? Do I need to fit in it to have a good life? No. No. I know that because my pancreas died. I need a pancreas to have a good life. The acne wasn't stopping anything. Do you know what I mean? It's very philosophical right now because I'm not an expert. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a woman who's almost 30, was getting a little angry that I was duped out of loving myself for my entire 20s, watching incredible, beautiful women all around me not love themselves, and we think we're the problem. The box is the problem. The box is the problem. Now you separately doing what you need to feel better and have your best life, you got to do that. You got to take that path. I get that, okay? So if lip filler, if Botox, if those things are going to make life easier for you, I get it. Insulin makes life easier for me. I'm certainly going to be taking insulin, right? You know what I mean? Like if it's something that like, and that was a stupid comparison. It doesn't really add up, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like, yeah, if this is going to help you live a better life, I'm not judging that. I'm not judging that. I just want us to always question the beauty standard box. I do want that. Because we're never going to fit in there, and society's just going to tell us that we should. Huge problem, right? Huge problem. I think the world needs to find more neutrality with bodies. Another TikTok that went viral. I never went to the beach and remembered what someone's body looked like. Right? That person wrote a beautiful poem. Lots of examples of neutrality. That's neutrality. It's like, do we need this narrative of this box to have good lives? No. The only reason you think you need to look different to have a good life is because that box is winning. And if society could just fuck that box, we wouldn't have to feel that way. So I get that right now you feel that way. If you feel that way, we all have something probably where we're like, yeah, if I had this one thing, I'd be happier. For sure. If I had clear skin, I think about it all the time. I think about it all the time. My Roman Empire is having clear skin. But I can't stop living. I can't stop until I get that. I may never get that. I've had it for 13 years. It stopped me enough. I gotta shut up because I could genuinely talk about this forever. I hope this made sense, rats. I hope it was just what you needed a little bit, like just like a little check-in. I don't know that I navigated it perfectly, and I really wanted to because I think it's really important. I also don't want to sound like an asshole because I'm like a thin white girl at the end of the day, okay? Yes, I have diabetes. Yes, I have acne. But at the end of the day, I carry a lot of privilege, so I don't want to sound like an asshole. I just do want to have these conversations. I think these conversations are really important. Little pep talk to end us off here. You are more than your skin. Like, please remember these things. You are more than your skin. You are more than your body. Your body functioning makes it an excellent body. Please believe me on that. Please, please believe me on that. The beauty standard is always going to ask more of you. So you gotta question it and you gotta care less about it. Find a way to fight insecurities. Either forcefully embrace them, use quotes to neutralize them, get off social media, change social media up to better suit something you need to see. Focus on positives that you have in your life. Whatever you got to do to drown out that noise, that this body is not good enough, that you should be stopped from enjoying your life. You got to find a way to drown it out. Look at one day. That character died at 35 and she didn't realize she was so beautiful. Life's short. The box is too small. The box doesn't matter as much as they're trying to make you think it matters. Okay? Your personality matters so much more than your looks. Like, I know we know that on paper, but you gotta know that IRL. You gotta know that. We've all met someone who we increasingly thought was more attractive when we got to know them. We've all had that experience because it's just true. Who you are in the inside radiates out. And it matters so much more than that fucking little box. Also want you to know your feelings are valid. The insecurities are valid. You're not crazy. They are sending them to you in more ways than I even know that you even know, okay? They're everywhere. They were in all the shit we watched when we were kids, secretly. You know, they're still in shit we watch today. Like, I fucking watched Don't Worry, Darling. And I was so mad because the way they made Harry Styles' character ugly in the real world is they gave him acne scars. I was livid. The evil guy, let's make him look a little greasy. Let's give him acne scars. I was livid. The messaging is everywhere, okay? We gotta tune it out with other shit. But you're valid. I'm valid. I'm not perfect. I still don't have it figured out. We need to explore it, though. We can't let it win. If you want to go get something done, Rat, you can so go do that. Just make sure it is for you and question it enough to know that when you get to the other side of that, you can find that happiness. But oftentimes, it's not actually the answer. But in some cases, it is. And I get that. Again, if I could click a button, if I could pay $400 to go not have acne anymore, let me tell you, I'd be chucking my credit card through the roof. Like, please slam that credit card down on the Apple Pay machine. No judgment. But I know for a fact, even if I had that clear skin, even if I could pay that $400, get that clear skin, wouldn't guarantee my career. Wouldn't take away my diabetes. Wouldn't make my life that much better. It would make my life a little bit easier because we cannot deny that any piece of us that is outside of that beauty standard, if we could be in that box, yeah, like that's the story they sell, right? Life's easier if you can get yourself in that box. The problem is no one can fit in that box. The box is never ending. It's increasingly smaller by the day. Okay? So it's a dilemma. And you just got to think it through. You just got to think it through carefully. Okay? And you do you. You got this. You know you. Do some journaling. You know? We all have our things. And yeah, it would be easier if we all fit in that box. The problem is we don't. The problem is 98% of the world never will. It's like, that's a problem. So we have to question it, but we also have to live our own lives and navigate things as we must. Okay? It's not easy. It's getting harder by the day. It's crazier by the day out there. But neutrality helps. Touching grass helps. Think about it. What does your body actually need to do for you? Journal on that. I love you, rats. I hope I navigated this okay. Subscribe, like, comment. You guys it really helps me out. If you could comment on the YouTube video, like anything. What's your favorite color? Like anything. Just trying my best here. Like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, comment when you can. It really helps. Leave a rating and review. Rats, that's the end of the episode.